running to be mayor of Los Angeles because he wants to get LA back to work. I think that's got to be the #1 goal for all of us in public service. Background, he's been the president of the City of Los Angeles Council for almost 6 years, 2006. And if you can govern the Council of Los Angeles, you can govern.
Thank you for assembling such an amazing group, both public and private servants, nonprofit servants, folks who really, I know, are part not only of the lifeblood of this region, of the city, but also people who have committed themselves with blood, sweat, and tears to making Los Angeles, Pedro, southern part of our region, really as dynamic a place as it can be. And this is, certainly the city started at, San Pueblo, the Olvera Street area. This is the heart of the heart that breathes the blood back into the entire part of our city from this area here. And we have such an amazing village in the midst of this huge metropolis. It always feels like homecoming here. I joke with law enforcement officials of our time. I appreciate that as well. I'll be very brief, just a couple things. I'd rather hear what's on people's minds, and feel free. Folks up here want to ask questions too. I want to be your mayor also, so feel free to check. Just a quick bit of my story. We were joking about this at the table, but I'm an only in LA story, in the sense that all of us could go around and tell our only in LA stories. This is a city of second chances, a place where my family, I have an Italian last name, I'm proud of my Italian heritage, but also my father's family came from Mexico, my mother's family fled war in Eastern Europe and Russia, and is Jewish. My father grew up in South Los Angeles. My grandparents are from the east side. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley. My parents now live in West LA. I live in the center, in the city in Silver Lake. And it was revealed the stories from my grandfather who used to come down to Pedro as a little kid. So there's not a part of this town that can go to and feel the history of it. But we had it in an area that was the heart of this city, Hollywood, our most famous neighborhood in the world. We'd become a hollow shell of ourselves. I mean, Hollywood was a place nobody wanted to be caught dead in, only would be caught dead in. I mean, it was a place where if you were there as a tourist in the late 80s, we did a study of the Chamber of Commerce up there. The average stay of a tourist was 23 minutes. You go to the Chinese theater, take a picture, start looking around the neighborhood and get the heck out of there and find Hollywood someplace else. And now it's a place that has roared back. And I did that by listening to the community. I mean, quite often I'm asked to do what I'm doing right now in politics, speak. And it's an important skill, don't get me wrong. But the most important skill in politics and in life is not learning how to speak, it's learning how to listen. It's going door to door and hear the voices that you don't hear and asking them, what do you want to see in your neighborhood? What here in Pedro or in Wilmington? Or what do we need to see in Boyle Heights and Brentwood and Granada Hills? And to actually hear the voices of this city, because I always believe people on the street know what they want on that block, in that neighborhood. They have the ideas of what they want to see. When John talks to me about his vision for what we can do on our waterfront, I know that that's indigenous thinking, that's here. It comes from years of actually experiencing it. Shopkeepers who are there at Fort Hall right now, who can see the future much more quickly than a leader can in City Hall. And it's time for leadership that brings that together and that hears those voices. When we did that in a district that was the third poorest district, where 50% of kids couldn't go to school inside their own neighborhood because we hadn't built schools, where most of the places didn't have after-school programs, where our main streets were vacant, where we saw crime rates and graffiti that were everywhere, blanketing the neighborhood. We set out doing that work, not by ourselves, but working with partners like our YMCA and youth programs, by turning to our community colleges and establishing new ways to link our healthcare industry or our hospitality industry to the jobs of tomorrow by teaching that at our community colleges. And by working with businesses who are so frustrated by the red tape of this city that tells them every reason they can't open up, every reason they have to pay for a fine or a violation, and as we were just chatting about, changing that culture to something that is a culture of a little sick. Hollywood was in need of triple island, but we delivered. I mean, we now have a place where we brought the Academy Awards back, built new hotels, where I attracted businesses like Nielsen, which does all the television ratings. When they said we'd love to be in Hollywood, but LA is a terrible place to do business. They said, give me a shot. We waived their entire city's gross receipts tax, their business tax. Was able to work out their parking issues. And when you work with a business, they say thank you. You actually have a human face to government. And they brought 500 jobs averaging over $80,000 per job. And any money that we would have gotten out of our city's gross receipts tax, which I was able to say you don't have to pay, we made tenfold in sales tax and property tax and the new restaurants that opened up, and the way that we have seen here in Pedro for years, that hunger to make that a seamless transition from the waterfront to here downtown, and to bring the cultural creativity that we know is a part of San Pedro's future. So these small businesses that are looking to grow and become medium-sized businesses and medium-sized businesses that want to be big, it's time for us to think big again. It is time for us to be ambitious, to have a world-class port that is seamless with the community, to have an airport where I'm going to fly out from tonight to go to Washington, D.C. and try to get some money for this city. But when you're in LAX, you have no sense you're in Los Angeles. You have no rail link there, you have no public transportation, nothing that announces this is LA and we're a great city. Nothing that says visit San Pedro and come see Leimert Park and go to Thai Town and experience what is great about LA. For us to be able to take these currents of diversity, take this incredible creativity and brain power that we have and do something with it, to position ourselves for prosperity in the future, to compete with the Panama Canal, to develop great neighborhoods, to make sure that we have the next tech explosion not just be up in Silicon Valley, but right here in Los Angeles. And we have to compete. And I want to make sure that Los Angeles does that. But we also have to be great urban planners, to look at communities as, San Pedro is different than Wilmington, and Wilmington is different than Watts, and Watts is different than Brentwood, and Brentwood is different than Granada Hills. But each one of those neighborhoods has an amazing logic, an amazing beauty waiting to be unearthed. And it's time for a mayor who says to each of these neighborhoods, we will give you the empowerment to realize your dreams in each one of those neighborhoods. I've seen that. We've tripled the number of parks in my district. I just went through the latest park opening. I've gone from 13 parks to 39 parks in less than 11 years in my district. And that was in the smallest district in the city. If we can do that there, we can have 100 new parks in the city to make sure that every young person has a park within walking distance. Good facilities, seniors, a place to be in their golden years. This is the last great undeveloped waterfront in America. Everybody loves the water. We have bits and pieces coming. We've got the Iowa coming, which is amazing. As a Navy guy, I love that Iowa's going to be. Yeah. One other point, it wouldn't have been possible were it not for LA. None of us would have the lives we would have for LA. And we have to make sure that that is an example to the world once again. Thank you. Tell people and invite me into your homes and your businesses. I'll come and speak to groups. I'm crisscrossing the city. I've already hit 45 of 93 neighborhoods with house parties. It's 93 different neighborhoods.